Yeah. He's been mainstay in Texas swimming for a long time. His last stint was at Highland Park High School before retiring from coaching, but now he's back in the game again, working with the city of Plano Swimmers, coaching age group,
senior
level kids. So his topic today is called balanced coaching, and looking forward to it. Coach Cole.
Okay, thanks. Can you can hear me? Oh, great. So I'll stand over here. I hate standing behind a podium. More comfortable on a pool deck than anything else. So today I was thinking, well, what can I talk to you all about that you probably haven't ever heard before? And I found that there was pretty much absolutely nothing because there's a lot of experienced coaches here. So I just thought, well, maybe I can give you some insight on how I approach my career and how I approach a season, even now, coaching senior level swimmers. And so I always think of myself as I really have mastered nothing. I don't feel like I'm great at any one thing, but what I try to do is bring in as many things as possible and try to make it happen by just looking at all the minute details and things like that and seeing if I can pull something together for a good season. So that was just telling me what's going on. So the vision is kind of where I'm going to start. I'm going to talk about the vision, the team, the coaches, and if you have any questions, just talk to me. I kind of always believe in, I know everybody says start with the end in mind, and I believe that too. So I like to see the big picture of, and I really like to see where do I want to go at the end of the season with my team. And that starts really, as a high school coach, that would start like on the way back from Austin after the state meet. I would be riding the bus going, well, what do I want this team to look like next year? And so I want to see the big picture. And then I always remind myself, I have to move in and out of that big picture. I can't just, there are so many different things that are going to happen during the season that if you don't move in and out of that picture and you just say focus on one thing, it's like win state, how do you get there? That's a great goal, but sometimes that's just really not feasible. It's like what's going to happen on Monday. So I believe that you kind of see the big picture, then move in and out of that picture so you can create the big picture or hopefully get to that. So you'll see some of the old pictures of my team. I think we all just want to strive for a great team, and we all want these great goals for our team, like they're going to be perfect attendance and they're going to jump in the water at the right time. And we know that's not happening, and getting everyone to buy into the same vision. And I still have that same conversations with my swimmers, like, hey, if we could all just get in on the water on the right time, we'd be a lot better. And so, we try to look at that. And of course, that vision is started early. Like, for me, it's like I said, it starts right after the first one state into the other. And my wife constantly yells at me because she goes, just give it a rest. It's like a week after state. Give it a rest. You don't have to think about it for it. But my brain is always kind of turning. What's the next thing I need to do? So one of the things that at my ending of my career in high school swimming was at Highland Park. And Highland Park is tradition. If you ever go in that town, everything is a tradition. If you do it one time in Highland Park, it is a tradition. So you have to be very careful about, am I gonna do this? Really want to buy into this because you're going to keep it at that way. But one of the things is that also makes it really pretty nice at the end because once you get some traditions established, the kids will start telling the younger kids, this is how we do things. And that's where you get the buy-in. And I know, and the vision starts happening. And then if you want to change the vision, you have to do it slowly. You have to get the right people buying into your vision. And that for me was a lot of times my captains and saying, hey, can we have these conversations? What do we want this team to look like? What did we not do good last year? And what can we do good this year? So we did a lot of talks. And so the vision for me is I kind of looked at it and say, well, as a coach, what's my job in that? And it's to plan the season based on a variety of ranges of swimmers. I get those kids that can, just like everybody else probably gets. I get these kids that they really should not be in the sport, but I find that we at Highland Park, it's like if we can make it happen, we're going to make it happen. If you can survive a week of training with me and you're willing to do it, I'm going to find a place for you. It's probably on my JV team. It's probably a lot less yardage, but we're going to make it happen because they want to be part of something, especially in Highland Park, again, was hey, everybody did a sport kind of thing. So we have to plan on very great swimmers, all Americans, all the way down to, hey, can we hold, 50 on a minute, repeat. So we're taking that and we're planning on a day-to-day basis of how is that going to work? And I always got lucky. I had an assistant coach and we'd have those conversations usually after the morning practice, we'd have the conversation for the afternoon practice and we'd sum up what was happening in the morning and what we're going to do the next day as well. I'm a big believer, as I got older, even more so, I'm a big believer in, creating the ability to put same people in the same, low-level swimmers in with the high-level swimmers by using different training equipment. And that, if that means if I have to put a pair of fins on someone, and so they can keep up with that team set, we always had a team set, then that's what I was going to do because, it was supposed to be the team. We're all doing this together. So sometimes that's equalizing out the practice. If that means that some of the very good swimmers are swimming breaststroke to keep up with the low-level freestylers, and that's how we did it. I think sometimes we need to think outside the box a little bit. How can we keep everybody going together and keeping people buying in that they're all working together? So that's the different skill levels. And, I love using my big thing, and I know it's not up there, but I love using short fins too, is to get some of that differentiation, starting with a long fin down to a short fin and into different strokes for different people. So varying the training and equipment and varying the drills. I'm a huge fan of, I don't like 10 100s. I never really thought that really did a lot for a lot of swimmers, and then I do throw it out, so I'm kind of talking out of my mouth both ways. I will do it, but it's not going to be my first choice. I think it's sometimes to teach them how to train like an old swimmer. I call that old school. I think there's some points to that, but I do think that if we can put some sets in there that are breaking things down, like, sometimes we do 6 100s and we're going 75 free, 25 no free, or 50 free, 25 no free fast, 25 distance per stroke. So we're always trying to vary up the sets a little bit. And if it's, again, if I have to work on, even if I have some swimmers that are not that great, I kind of like David Salo's approach of, he writes sets like, you have 50 to 100, and the time is 1:30. And so you can choose 50 this time, and then the next time you can use 75, or the next time you're doing hundreds. And we'd have those conversations saying, this lane, let's just concentrate on going fast on 50s. This lane, let's concentrate on going fast on 75s. This lane, you're going 75s, but you're going fly. And this lane, you're going hundreds and you're going free and you're going to go really fast. So I think we can vary the drills. We should vary the distance and intensity, and that's kind of the coach's things, adjusting length and speed to meet the challenges. Because ideally, it would be perfect, I have this conversation now as a club coach, and please don't repeat this. The head coach, I work with him with his national level swimmers. All he wants is national level swimmers. They all can do this. It's like I keep on saying, but How do you get those kids up there? You have to put some kids that can't make it and give them some opportunities to be successful in a group. And in about a month or two, they're going to make it. They're going to start coming around and going up to your next level. But if they don't see it, how can they get there? And so I'm a big believer that you got to see, you want your swimmers to see where they can take their swimming. And that means putting them in with the really good swimmers too. And sometimes it's a disaster, as some of you know, is when you put that really bad swimmer in and you're warming up and you got a lane and you got this kid that can't swim and they're swimming down in the middle of the pool and your best swimmers are going crazy and you go, hey, we're all a team. That's another conversation we can have. I think some of the things I like to teach too is, the focus of maintaining focus of while you're swimming. Don't get distracted when you hear the sets. I rarely tell the kids what the next set is. If it's a long set, I'll break it down into 4 parts and say, okay, next part. And it's like, oh, okay, I can see this, the good swimmer going. I can see this is where this is going. And then we talk a lot about, my job is to teach them the resiliency. It's like, you're going to have setbacks, and how do you approach those setbacks? Probably one of the things I would tell you is, trying to teach resiliency and focus and motivation. Those are really hard things. And let's see if I have it on the next thing. And that, we'll just leave that up there. But it's the idea that I believe as a coach of micro conversations. And I don't know if you really get my concept of micro conversation. It is maybe 15 seconds with a swimmer, okay? Hey, have you thought, what are you doing on this set? And sometimes they just bend down and talk to, hey, that last set was not as great as what you're capable of doing. Let's try to make this set, you're going to work on this, or you're going to pick up your effort. And it's a micro conversation. It's a micro conversation, as we're warming up, getting ready. How you doing? How you feeling? What's your goal for today? And it doesn't have to be this big, long, 30-minute drawn-out conversation about goal setting. I do goal setting, but it's not my favorite thing to do because I feel like it's away from the deck, and they can sit down there, they can write out their goals. I have some 13, 14, their goals are terrible. They don't know how to write. They don't know how to think about it. So we discuss that. But one of the things is, how do we get to those goals? And I think the only way you can get to the goals of your team and for the swimmer is to keep on pounding it into their head almost on a daily basis. My goal is if I coach 30 swimmers in a practice, I really want to talk to 20 of them, okay? Somehow I have to make connection to 20. I don't say I have to make connection to all 30 because I feel that's kind of unrealistic. And sometimes those kids, you got a kid that's just in the groove. I don't need to do much with them. We talk good job at the end, bump fists and move on. But again, kind of going back to this, the vision should be seen in excess in seconds, minutes, hours, and days. And that's kind of my way of saying, if I'm going to do something, I got to keep on reassessing where am I at with the overall goal or the overall picture and things like that. These are a couple of my old swimmers that are coaches now. I think they're better than me. One of them's not coaching. Hannah's not coaching anymore, but Ryan's still coaching, and he's just like, I listen to him and just go, man, where did you get all this stuff? Because you were a horse's ass when you were in high school. And we laugh about that because he was sometimes trying. But we always joke about it. He got through and he got to be, I think the reason why he's a good coach is he did so many bad things and heard me keep on saying, hey, you have to refocus and things like that. Hannah was one of these people who's opposite of that. She was going to do everything right and just intense. She was always very intense. And so you always have those extremes. And so you got to figure out, how do I make contact with that person? How to make contact with this person? This is where I work out on a daily basis. This is Robinson Pool. It's Plano Williams High School pool. This is an old pool, and I really like it. We have our kick sticks in that they have to push past those lane lines, and so that's another way to get them to extend off the wall and things like that. And we could talk technique, but I'm a true believer in, if you're going to be a high school swimmer or a good short course swimmer, you got to learn walls to the max. You have to be great at them. Because if you're not, you could be the fastest swimmer, but if you lose every turn, you're going to lose. So let's talk about the team. Team, I was trying to come up with some things. It's like, what's the communication like with the parent, athlete, and coach? Okay, like this is kind of going back into balance coaching. Like, how do I address my parents, and how do I want them to perceive me? And how do my athletes perceive me, and how my other coaches perceive me, and how do I communicate what I'm trying to get back? That's a trial and error thing. I think if you talk to most of my athletes, they'll find that I'm a pretty funny guy on deck. I tend to tease a lot, sometimes a little heavy-handed, but they tend to do good. My parents, I think when I moved to Highland Park, they had gone through 4 coaches in 5 years. And it was like I was signing a death trap to go move over there. And I liked, the AD was so wonderful. And he goes, "You're the guy for this." And I go, "You sure? You just went through 4 and ruined 4 people's careers, kind of." And the parents are up and armed. But what I found is if I started out communicating what I think was the right thing to do, and keep on reminding them, and this is my big kind of communication factor to parents and athletes especially, if I make a rule, if I say this is the rule, then I'm going to force it to everybody. It's not just for Johnny, who's an okay swimmer, but it's not for this great swimmer. No, they can skip practice or whatever. I don't do that. And every decision I make is, if I make this as a decision that I'm going to let this happen as a rule, or want it to be a rule, then it has to be enforced by everybody. It has to be fair to everybody. Okay, and that's a tricky thing for coaches, because you always have parents that say, "I want this to happen for my kid, and I don't care whatever happens." And you have to convince them, well, now if I give it to here, I have to give it to everybody else. So a lot of people might disagree with my opinion, is I make very little rules. Okay, I don't like to write them down. The rule will be that you will be here on time, and you will do this, and boom, boom, boom. Because I find that when I've watched coaches do that, I hear their comments back, and all they're doing is fighting with the rules. They're not coaching anymore. And so I'd rather listen to the story or listen to the situation. And if it's not a crazy thing that's happening, and it's not really breaking my standard for fairness, then I probably will let it slip, with the understanding that it's a slip of once, not 5, And so we talk about that with the parents. It's like, I'm not going to, write me your email, call me up, let's meet and let's talk about it. And let's see what I can do. Because if I don't make a lot of hard and fast rules, I have a lot more flexibility. And I think swimmers, I think parents today appreciate that a little bit as well. And I think sometimes we just got to remind ourselves about that. A lot of times when we start at the first of the year, I always, my first thing is, what's the commitment level of my swimmers? I always ask them, well, what are you committing to? What's your end goal? And that's in the goal setting and just talking and things like that. What's your commitment to the team? And I always start with that one, not yourself. What's the team commitment? What are you going to do to make the team better? Okay, it could be one thing. All right, I'm going to cheer. I'm a crappy swimmer, but I'm a great cheerer at the end of the day. And and we give awards for the people that they're crazy cheerers. They're always standing behind the deck. I said, you know what? And we recognize those people, not just at the end of the year. We would recognize them at the end of the meet or the next day and things like that. It's like, did you see that person got that person up and support, or they did something kind for something? And we talk about that all the time is, you don't have to be the best. You just have to be commit to what we're trying to do and trying to be on time and things like that. Being comrades with your teammates, not being the prima donna, things like that. And I will have those hard conversations with them, say, you're not that important, okay? And then we will get to that point, and I have gotten to that point with some really great swimmers and their parents where, gosh dang, they can make or break my team right here and say, bye, okay? Your commitment to the team is for yourself, and it's team first. Club swimming is an individual sport, okay? It's 90% that, 10% team. We're almost the opposite, okay? So I really believe that if we can develop that, and sometimes when they hear that, they kind of go, well, I don't want to leave the team, then you're going to come back to what the team is all about. And then what's the confidence of the team? I think a lot of times teams get beaten down by, and Highland Park, we would go into a couple hard meets, and I think Dana could watch one time. He was up in Dallas, and he watched the meet. And we got our ass handed to us, and it was great. It's like, it was bad, and it's like, but we came back and say, hey, well, are we that bad? No. Are we broken down? Yes. We're not. We got pounded. And then we come back and we try to find someone a little bit easier to compete with. And, are you that bad? No. You're beating 90% of the people out there. Okay? Now, let's go to work again. So the confidence of the team, and I constantly think that, as you build through the season, I don't want the confidence to happen in October in Texas. I want the confidence in February and January that we have done what we need to do. So I'm always trying to take the pulse of where's our confidence factor, and then that goes back to, again, having those micro conversations with those kids. How do you feel? How did you approach that event? Do you feel like you're getting the right training? And I was lucky enough that after the practice, we still had our pool. They would stay at the pool and eat and things like that, and I would just bring them over and have the 3-minute conversations, and they go, here he goes again, bringing 5 more people over, one at a time or a couple at a time, and saying, what do you think? Are you broken down? Because I got to find out what their club team's doing. What's your club team doing? All right. So, and things like that. So, as a team, we kind of assess, it's like I kind of came up with some effort and attitude. Okay. Was one of the things that how many slices you want in your pie. Your team has to give you effort and attitude. And I don't know, I put 40%. I think it's higher than that, really. Social. You have to create a social place where they want to be. Okay? If you don't do that and it just becomes a burden, I don't care how good a coach you are, you're not going to deliver the message to them unless you're just pounding to the ground and you just wear them out. What's their skill level? How do I improve the skill level? I'm not trying to improve it 20%, maybe 5%. What am I ready to go? Am I in a bad day and things like that? And am I feeling confident in myself and things like that? So those are things that we talk about and I reassess through the day, the month, and through the season kind of thing. It's like, and I will tell my assistant coach, and he'll tell it, hey, you don't feel really energetic today, do you? Tough night. Okay, I get it. All right, but let's try to step up for one more set, Let's yell, I really am a big proponent. Let's go. I'm really noisy on deck, trying to get them whipped up. Yes, sometimes, after a swim meet on Tuesday night, I was tired on Wednesday and we're swimming out. I'm sitting down. I'm old. Okay, my legs are tired. And, but we've already come in and had conversations like, this is the focus of the swim down. Okay, so I'm not going to yell yet because they didn't want me to yell at them. They didn't want me to go, go, the day after a hard meet. But the next day they knew that was going to happen. So those are things that I look at as the team, kind of little things that I think are important. I came up with this, and I put it in late. One piece of advice on communication: let people tell you their story. And by that, your coaches, your assistant coaches, your swimmers especially, and parents. A lot of times they want to just be heard, okay? They don't want me jumping in and trying to fix the problem. They just want me to hear the whole problem, okay? And let them hear it out. It's like, parents especially, well, we have carpool and things like that. Okay, so, and we go through these things. I'm not trying to solve the problems. They want me to know what their emotional state is. And then if we have to fix a problem, they feel better about it because that person, that swimmer, that parent, and my assistant coaches, they know they've been heard, that I really get it. And it is hard for me because we all want to jump in and fix things. We're fixers. We're coaches. Well, I know what your problem is. Boom. But, maybe you're going to ask, well, tell me a little bit more about this situation. What do you think we could do? And ask them the leading questions back. What do you think you could do to fix this problem? Or what do you think you need from me? And instead of me telling what I can do for them. So if I could give you that one piece of advice: if you ever have a conflict, you don't feel like you're making connections with a swimmer, let them tell their story, okay? And I just think that's so crucial to being a good coach. And I think a lot of you probably do that, know that by heart now too. But when I was younger, my first 15 years, I was terrible at it. Like, I don't care, because I was supposed to be tough coach. I don't care. You do what I damn well tell you to do, kind of thing. And I've gotten away from that. It's like I'm a lot more nice about it, but they also know that he's not a pushover either. If they're telling me a sad story, sometimes I start going, well, that's a really sad story, but it doesn't apply. It's this little violin thing, get your ass to practice. I don't say that because I'd probably be fired, but I do say things like that. Communication to parents. There is no real reason why you can't be successful with communication with parents now with technology. When we didn't have computers and things like that, it was a lot harder. But, you got to tell parents what's going on. In my club, I write a weekly newsletter or a weekly email blast to my group. And I say, here's the same schedule that we're on, where we're at, what pool, what time. And then I say, hey, here are all the meets coming up. Make sure you sign up for this. And then we go, and today, on Monday, we are doing distance freestyle work. On Tuesday, and I let the parents know what we're doing. Now, some of them go, I don't care, and the kids will come in and go, we're doing distance freestyle today. It's like, yeah, but you don't know what the sets are, but they know what we're trying to do. And if you're doing something cool, that's another great place. Hey, today we did this. Like we always do, right now I'm doing videotaping on Fridays. Well, now Fridays are becoming a better practice because I want to be videotaped. I want to be broken down and look at the underwater camera and things like that. And so, and the parents need to know that you are working too. Sometimes it's just little things like that can make your life so much easier. And then, I've been talking about the athlete. Daily is best. Weekly is the minimum. Okay. If I told you I hit 15 to 20 in a practice, I better hit all of them at least a couple times in a week. Okay. So that's the minimum kind of thing. And so, the girl I am there with, she's just signed for UT at that picture. She still swims at UT. Just saw her 2 weeks ago swimming at a senior meet. And, you know, she's going, I'm getting hammered, coach, right now. And, you know, I'm doing 7,000 meters. And it's like, oh, okay. Bob Bowman's really put you in the mid-distance group, and he's giving it to her, you know. And you can tell she's tired. And I go, you look a little tired. She goes, I am, you know, but it will be good. She goes, I'm going to be good. And I go, you're great already. You know, just keep the hard work up, you know. So even then, I have old swimmers who will come back and say, hey, what do you think about that? Okay, I'll tell you, you know. So if we can communicate with the athletes, I think that's the biggest part of our job, one of our biggest part of the job. The administration I put in there, the new pool at Highland Park, we built that 2 years before I retired, and that was a wonderful experience going through the whole process of building a pool. That was kind of like one of my culmination things from going to a pool that was built in the 50s to a brand new facility. I miss the old pool. I love the new pool, but I miss that old crappy 6-lane pool. That water would leak from the side. And I would just tell the kids, this pool has tradition, you know. Do you know we have Olympic swimmers, pictures out there that swam in this crappy old pool? And people would come to our pool. We want to swim in your pool, okay? And they walk in, like, remember Frisco would walk in and go, oh, this is a dung, you know, because they had a beautiful, brand new facility. They go, yeah, but it's fast, you know, and we, you know, it's home pool advantage. So our new pool is wonderful, and I think I have a picture of that. But those are things that we talk about. We always like to keep a board going, and that's why I took that picture of, hey, this is what we're doing this, you know, we've put it all out on the board on Monday. Here we got to meet on here. What are you going to wear? Things like that. And we put it all out there so when a kid would not wear the right shirt, okay, and they came on and they were late for a bus. First of all, they all knew that when I said 9 o'clock, I meant 9 o'clock. 9:05, they were going to have to find the way to the meet. So they all got that idea. So they lived in fear of that. But we say, hey, we're going to wear this shirt. And we do the same thing in club swimming too. Hey, it's the green shirt today. It's the gray shirt on Sunday. Coaches, we all wear black. It keeps it easy because we have a ton of black shirts. So those are communication things. And I think once you start doing things like that and making it a part of your daily ritual or your weekly ritual, I think what you'll find is, again, I'm trying to take away obstacles that, you know, because I don't know about you, but when I see an email from a parent, my blood pressure kind of goes up. I go, what the hell now? You know, and I'm thinking, and then I read it, and usually it's nothing, and I call them up and say, can you explain what's going on? Oh, okay, we solve it, you know. But if I don't react quick enough, that's when the problem gets worse, okay? And you always got to remember that. If I can respond within 24 hours or less, I think I'm going to have less of a problem. And I can solve that thing, move it on, and we're good. And sometimes it's just, I didn't write a very good email, and that's something that's on me. And I try to remind myself, why did I get that email that seemed like the person was a little irritated or confused? And then I go back and read it or think about it. And I don't say that's a dumb parent. I say, what could I have done to make sure that parent understood what I wanted? Okay, and the same thing goes with administration. The new pool at Highland Park was pretty funny. I used to see the AD come to the pool twice a season. They would be at the swim meets all the time, but practice once or twice a year. Now, the AD's office is across the hall from the pool. So every morning, you know, Johnny Ringo's coming in with a cup of coffee. He's like, hey, how's it going? You know, it's like, how are they looking? You know, and he's going to be up there, you know, looking at, he knows every kid. I mean, that's an AD when he knows, and that was Highland Park. That was another great tradition. The ADs knew every kid, and they would ask, what are they swimming? You know, Coach Ringo, he was on deck all the times we won state. You know, he was standing right beside me. He knew what was going on. And so that was kind of cool. I didn't take it as a negative. I took it as there's another coach, okay? Because he was a great football coach. He could say something like, hey, dig in a little bit, you know? And they would listen to him. Yes, Coach Ringo, you know? And that's how we dealt with things. Again, I kind of came back through that. Was like, it takes time to buy in, but after, like I said, after you establish culture of your program, good things will start happening automatically, but it takes time. Highland Park High School, we call it Blue Wave because our colors are blue, and so that was something I built in Photoshop just as a background. But we're the Blue Wave, okay, because it just seemed like a good way to talk about ourselves. We have to have the honest meetings, like I said. You got to build a trust. You got to inspire the vision with each person. And then you set the goals and you measure them, you follow up and have those conversations all the time. Even at the state meet, we're saying, hey, that was a great prelims. You know, and we'd start out with the positives. Please don't think I'm always negative. Starting out with the positive. I really liked all your turn, but I think you could put the gas on the last 25 yards a little bit more. You got more in the tank, don't you? Yep. Okay, let's do it in finals. And we talk about that, build it. You are so ready to go, getting that confidence level up. We've worked hours on this, and we go back and have those team conversation, small group conversations, relays, and individual conversations all the time. And I think I still see coaches kind of set it and forget it. I had my goal meeting. We have a coach on our team right now, and it's hard for me to say things because I'm retired, I'm older. He's 29, okay? I get it. He doesn't want my advice on things. He's not asking for it, so I have to be very careful how I give advice, but I still give it. It's like, you know, you might want to just remind that person that they're great. They're not as, you know, or something like maybe push them a little harder in this direction. And just little things, but not big things. You know, you don't want to tear their confidence down either. So, you know, but those are things that I think we all need to remember, is just to have those commitment levels and talking about it and keep on hammering into the point. Again, you kind of heard me say, I'm not the best workout artist. I mean, I do a good workout, but I wouldn't put myself in the top 20 of anything. I know there are people here that probably I look at your workout and go, dang, that's a nice workout. And I'd steal it from you, okay? If I see it, I'm stealing it. And I've stole things like, I'm a guy that will sidle up to like Mark, and he doesn't even know I'm there at a state meet, and listen to him have conversations to his swimmers. You don't know I'm even listening. I'm just listening. What is he doing? Because dang, his team looks good. Okay, or Dana's team, and all your other people. Watch what they were listening to. Sherry doesn't know I used to listen to her all the time on diving because I was a diving coach. I was not a diving coach, but I tried to be the best diving coach I could be. So I had to listen to some people on what they were saying and how they were saying it to their athletes. And I think if we all remind yourself that even at a swim meet, we can learn one more thing or one little thing, that's a good thing. So that's kind of one of the things I keep on coming back to. We always keep on talking, we're going all through, this is all together. We're doing this all together. We're suffering together, okay? Embrace the training challenges. We celebrate little things. Like, you know, it's not just birthdays. We're just saying, like, hey, I remember Roman got in water on time. Yay! Everybody cheer for Roman. And, you know, it's like, we talk life outside the pool. Hey, we got this person that just made, you know, they tell me something, you know, like, Hey, I did a great job on my AP Chem test. Like, hey, yeah, they got there. And we find these things. And we find activities that allowed the whole team, the JVs and the varsities, to blend together. And it's usually for us was after a dual meet away at a home, they would go out to dinner. The parents knew it. They could come pick them up. Our captains would arrange rides for everybody to get to the dinner and back home. Okay? I never did that. I encouraged, that's great, but that wasn't my thing that was the captains and the team. They knew that was the culture. We're going to let everybody be involved with it. If we had a party for district and the kids weren't going to district, they went to that party too. They went to the regional party. They went to the state party. You know, everybody's invited to the banquet. We do all these things together. We have a week before school, they have a captain's week, which is a real pain in the ass for me. Because I remember going, I have, like everybody else, professional development. So I had to trust that my parents, my captain's parents, were delivering what they need to do for the team because I could not physically be there. And my parents were really good. The captains, we'd have a week before we talk about what was the activities, where you're going to go, how you're going to do things, and they had to lead it. So we put things like that back on the team spirit and things like that. So embracing training challenges. I always joke, there's one my favorite line, and especially right now, is we have slowed down. We are really good at swimming slow. So let's just try to swim medium. And then we go, oh, that's it, we swam medium. Now let's really see if we can be brisk, fast, animals, whatever, and as a team and as an individual. And we joke about it. It's like, man, we really got slowed down, okay? Let's try to move to the next level. Because they had to embrace that challenge of what was going to go on in the workout, what was going on in the cycle of training. Like they know that we had 2 to 3 weeks in that cycle, what was going to happen. So they had to kind of look at it. So I think right there you're seeing a picture of Coach Ferens over there. That was one of my swimmers who was injured. And so they're running warm-up. It was very rarely in high school swimming that I really stand over the warm-up. Now, I did tell the captains what the warm-up routine was for that meet, okay? And they were responsible for running the warm-up. Again, getting people to buy into the program. It's just not me dictating what's going on, but it's telling them and saying, well, what else do you think you might want to do? Can we do this? Sure, let's put that in. If a swimmer said, hey, can we do this in warm up or something like that? I was trying to work it in. Because it's really hard for me, and I think maybe for some other people, is to give up control. That's really difficult. You know, we all have our pride and things like that. But as I've gotten older, I don't look at it as like I'm being a bad coach. I'm looking at it, maybe I'm expanding myself as a coach. And maybe it works, and maybe I say, that worked great, let's keep on doing it, or we're going to back that off, and we're going back to a different way of thinking. The other thing that, as a team and practice and things like that is, I guess it's balance coaching, another way of saying balance coaching. Call the audible. By what I mean is, I could write a great workout, okay, and I had all the intentions that they're going to pound through this workout, and it was going to be this, life-changing workout for them. And they came in, and there were so many distractions going on. We had to change what was going on to fit that day on deck right now. Okay, and maybe it was that I had to take a step back and lose that workout for the greatness that it was. And then there are times I got to call the audible the other way. Man, they're ready to go. Okay, change that set. Let's put this thing in there and see what they can do. And so I think great coaches or good coaches, and most of you probably know this, is like, just switch it up. If you feel like it's not working, call the audible, okay? We do that all the time, and I'm working with a national group, and it's like, I don't like this workout. And it's like, what do you think? What can we do to change it? It's like, let's call the audible. Let's change it to this. Oh, that works, okay? Sometimes just working with two coaches, too, you should listen to the other coach. They might have a really good idea how to make that happen. So that's kind of keeping the balance. Don't just be so thinking that the recipe there's a recipe, but there also is throwing in the hot peppers, every now and then, or whatever. I like to cook, and that's one of the things. So again, positive self-talk, the confidence, achieving goals, creating a supportive environment where mistakes are seen as learning, okay? Learning opportunities. Sometimes school coaches a ton, because I will say, no, that's not how it really is. Your perception is this. This is what they're having to do. Do you realize that you have all day long to write this practice, and you're going home at lunch for 3 hours or 4 hours and then coming back to practice? That's easy. Let me tell you, I'm working full-time and working easy right now, okay? I mean, they will tell me it's so hard, and I'm like, hey, when you're a department head chair and you taught 4 classes and you coached 2 and you had swim meets, that was hard. You guys got the hard thing. Club coaching, if you're just coaching 2 or 3 hours a night, that's pretty easy. I mean, they don't like to hear me say that, but I go, you have to understand where that high school coach is coming from too, okay? Because there are so many good high school coaches too. I mean, geez, I look out and I know some of you people. It's like, dang. That's why I get intimidated talking to you, because I feel like sometimes I don't have what you need to hear, and I know you probably do it better. The athletes, how am I doing on time? Okay, I'm going to do this quick. Athletes, look at their strengths, opportunities, the weaknesses, and the last one I really want to talk about is threats. Kids, it's okay to talk about your feelings, okay? School and parents can take a toll, and sometimes they just need you to kind of hold their hand a little bit and forgive them if they make a mistake, or say it's going to be okay. And you're teaching that resilience, okay? You're going to have that conversation with your parents, okay? So I know you guys probably all know this, the opportunities that we've achieved, goals and weakness. We've talked all that stuff, and I can go on and on. But I just wanted to think, the coach. That's my last thing, okay? Folks, time flies. I'm a husband. I don't want to forget my spouse. She's here. She's going to see me tomorrow. Getaways are important. That was when we went to Nampa. Family time is important. I always try to make time for my family. Friends. My friend Jeff, we go to Stars game. We've got season tickets. I think it's important to get away from the sport. Don't always latch yourself on. I get so much more energy when I get to stop thinking about swimming and give myself time to do all the fun things. And then I like, as a coach, to see how my team appears. That was a picture that last year, this group of 80, I think it was 89 swimmers that won state, or 90, they won state, and Plano ISD came back and put them in the Hall of Honor. And they all came up for it. So it was pretty cool. So it's about balancing your life as well. It's so important. You don't want to have regrets at the end. Making time with others. I have interests like art. I have interests like leather work, music, things like that. Have a plan financially, please. If you're young, get that plan going now. You want to be set so when you are tired of coaching, you can retire. Know when you can quit. And then you're like me, I knew when I could quit, and then I go, I'm not ready to quit. After I went back to a district meeting, I go, I think I have more coaching. But avoid the burnout, okay? There are points in your career that you're going to get tired of. Find different things that distract you, okay? This job will eat you up and spit you out and not care. You have to care for yourself and your family and making a plan for your future. And if I can give you, if you walk away with that, that's the balance. keeping all that together. Job is hard. Mistakes will be made. Forgive yourself. I have done some stupid ass stuff in my life, okay, as a coach. And I go, why did I say that at the end of that? It's like, that was the dumbest thing I say. And I have apologized for it. I've had to suck it up and say, you're right, I was wrong. And that's really hard for me. I'm stubborn, okay? I like things my way, and I'm competitive in that stubbornness, and that's hard for me to say it. But forgive yourself, move on, but correct where you can correct. So that's really, Mark just kind of gave me a high side. That's really the end of my speech. Is there any questions I can answer? I'm here all week. If you have anything on thoughts or anything like that, feel free to hit me up. I'm a pretty quiet guy in situations like this because I don't really know where I stand. But I will talk to you and tell you what I think, or you can tell me what you think too. Because I'm always trying to figure out what's the next thing I need to learn. So thank you.